The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Hey. Welcome in, everybody. This is Spiritual Philoso-Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I'm Samantha Jones.
And welcome to anybody that's listening for new, old, or whatever.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, here we are, another episode 23.
23.
And what is our topic?
This one is spirit guides.
Good one.
Yes.
Still learning that, but good one.
We are.
Still learning a lot of this. But...
Yes. That's a good thing to point out, though, because I've been a little bit nervous about this episode, I'll be honest, because it's not a topic that I know a lot about. So I did have to do some research on it and found some ways to try and kind of simplify it, because I think that this is a topic that can get really, really in depth, but I think we'll just stay surface. Make it easy.
Yeah,
you know?
just give a general idea of what we're talking about, at least.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to go off a little bit more.
Yeah, but there's some heavy stuff. So
cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
Right on. Well, before we jump into that one, anything you want to talk about from last episode?
We had some great comments from the last episode. That one was signs everywhere there's signs.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So I got a lot of messages, just people saying things like, wow, I always thought that those were just a coincidence, or never recognized some of these things as signs.
Right.
And so we were talking about coincidence, and you said, even, why does that word exist?
Really, I do. Yeah, I have to question it. I used to use it a lot, and I catch myself every now and then doing that. And
yes,
and I think, is it really? I mean, is anything really? Because the more I really look inward, even at situations, I can see why they've happened.
Yes.
The way they've happened, when they happened, how they happened.
No matter how big or small, it seems that there's always something that's traceable, and a reason. Like today, I was talking through text to my friends, Hannah and Lexi. We have a group text, and I just stopped biting my nails. And so this is really big for me. I've been biting my nails for like 35 years.
This is a nail biter.
Yeah, exactly. I'm only on day 2. But I said to them, it's been 2 days since I stopped biting my nails. And my friend Lexi, she says, I stopped biting my nails too. And she's going through the spiritual awakening. Yeah. And my first thought was, wow, what a coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence.
No.
Because her and I are really on this spiritual path together too. Like in a way, And
you've been connected for a long time, even before that.
So it definitely isn't a coincidence. And she can help me maybe get through it as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I went through that a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just one way of showing that there's really no such thing as a coincidence.
No.
It is all, there are reasons for everything. And if you're having something that's like thrown in your face all the time and you're like, wow, that's a coincidence. No, it's not.
No. And even when we use that word, we often look baffled.
Right.
So the word coincidence really means it has no relevance. It just happened.
That's very true.
Or it is, right? But when we all react to things that are coincidental, usually, I think, you think, wow, that's coincidence.
That's a strange coincidence.
Right.
Yeah. Why do we think that's strange? Because we know subconsciously that it's not a coincidence.
Right. It's our conscious trying to block that out.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. We get in our own way all the time.
All the time. Yeah, that's life. That's free will.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I loved last week's episode. It was fun to do,
cool.
And yeah.
Again, and that the week continued, throughout. I mean, up until with a lot of them,
we had a lot of signs. Yes,
yeah.
I have started kind of keeping track of things. I'm making it very difficult for myself. I should simplify it, but I have a lot of songs that I talked about that in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've actually started keeping track of the songs that I hear every day, how many times I hear them. And on Wednesday, when I released my second blog post, I heard 38 mom songs that day. Or I'll classify them as mom songs, but they mean other things too. They're other people's songs. But that's just how I classify them. But that was a very heavy sign day.
Right.
And there were, it was funny. One of them was, the radio stations were going back and forth between two of my mom's songs. And I pull up behind a bus that has the number 13, 11, 26, and 22. And I was like, what is happening? So it was a very strong sign week for us.
I was impressed with that list. You showed it to me. And because at first I thought, wow, kind of like what you said. I'm like, no, that's a lot of time spent having to do that, sort of log this.
Yeah.
But what's interesting that you pointed out, I didn't even think about it, because at first you showed me the list of songs, and you talked to me a lot about them, so I hear them.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so you got a list of songs. But then when you're like, then I can start like looking at dates and
Patterns.
times, dates and
what's going
incidences,
on?
things that happen, and correlating and trying, almost like a code that you're sort of trying to understand of how they're communicating with you at certain times with certain songs. Because like you said, they not only are mom songs but often, but they also pertain to certain meaning.
Yes, and other people. And you just hit the nail on the head there. I want to break this code because I know there is one. I know there is.
I definitely think that, as long as you're connected to it, and it's your own personal code.
Yes.
So somebody else couldn't come in that was even as gifted as you, or, enlightened and be able to understand it.
Not my code, but they could make their own.
You have to read your own.
But I think that this is a good basis to let people understand how to make their own code, how to understand. Because, I mean, my mom's been gone for 15 years, and there are some things that I know that I have figured out over the years. But this is more in depth. I'm really looking forward to doing this, like, research, because this will be more like, okay, well, on a day that I was grouchy, I heard 2 songs. And on a day that I was really happy, maybe even nothing big happened, I heard a lot of songs. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm excited to do this. But that last episode, it really, it pushed me in that direction to do this.
And it felt apropos, not that we don't see them a lot, but there are periods where you feel like you see them more than others.
Yes. This week's been strong.
It's felt strong almost, and like I said, it was almost apropos because of that topic.
Yep.
That, again, they're showing you more signs to say, good go.
Yes.
Good going.
Yes.
Good job.
They never stop. Once you start noticing, and once you raise your vibrations to a point where it just becomes a natural part of your life, they never stop. It's very
but you
strange.
have to be open and stay open, because you can shut it off.
Yeah.
When you're upset and bitter and angry and pissed at the world and you feel like nothing's going your way, you're not going to see anything.
Yep. And we'll get into that actually in Spirit Guides a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these two topics really go together because a lot of what we talked about last week with the signs moves us into how to communicate with your spirit guides, because that is how they communicate. So, anyways, we'll come back to that. There's one other thing I wanted to talk about real quick.
Sure.
In the episode that we did about what the animals tell us, I told a story about a bird, a mini macaw, that I went out to groom. And this bird was in a cage that was wrapped in mesh wire and attached with zip ties. Had never been out of the cage in 20 years. Yeah. And I got very upset. Anyways, I told this woman, long story short, at that time that she needed to do something about this bird. Please, please, please do something about this bird. I cried over this. I was so upset, right? Well, she texted me last week and she asked me, she said that the bird now lives with her because it had been living with her mother. She got him a new cage and new toys and new everything and asked me to come out and groom him. And that day that I said that I heard the 38 mom songs, that was the day I went out to groom that bird.
That's cool.
That story is why I do this.
Right.
Because I made a difference for that bird. I don't care that I made the difference. Right. The difference was made.
Yeah.
He has a better life. Whoever did that, he has a better life. That's what's important. Oh, I was so happy.
Oh, he's probably so happy.
Yeah.
He's probably happy to see you, knowing that you were concerned.
Well, he bit me, so not really, but that was my own fault. Because I was like, oh, remember me? I made you have a better life. And I put my hand in the cage, and he was like, what?
He's like, take it easy, lady. We're not that close. Thanks a lot, but take it easy.
Exactly. So here's another good story, actually, going back to the signs for a second that goes in with this, is that the morning that lady texted me to tell me that she wanted me to come out this time to groom the bird, that he was living with her, I had asked the universe. I said, just give me a gift, not tangible. It doesn't have to be tangible, although some kind of proof that I manifested this would be nice.
Right.
But just give me something to show everybody that manifestation can be done easily and quickly, right? Mm-hmm. So it was an hour later that I got that text message. And I was like, that's cool. That's not tangible. That's the best thing that I could have imagined.
Yeah.
But then a couple of days later, I got a package from my friend Hannah. And on the front of this package, it was covered in the number 13, just covered. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if that was like the tangible part of it so that I have something to show people that I did this. So anyways, I just had to share that because that was kind of, I don't know, as I go through this process and I learn more and more, I like sharing these things to show people just exactly what you can do.
Yeah.
Just how amazing you can make things in your life if you just believe.
Yeah, and coming from love.
Yes.
You know, if you're doing it out of love and, you know, purity and believe.
Yes.
It's true.
I mean, there's some people that might have seen that bird and gone, oh, I'm not going to tell this lady that this is an expensive bird. I'll just be like, you know what? I could take that bird off your hands. No, no money. Just get that bird a better home right now. You know?
It made me, when you were saying that, made me even think about, I don't know if this is manifestation per se. I don't know what it is, but now it kind of triggered to me is I brought this person forward by thinking about them. And I have a friend of ours, Sean, that we've known musically around here for years. And Tom mentioned, I hadn't seen him for years. Last time I saw him was a friend's funeral. And I had seen him forever. He wasn't on Facebook. I didn't have his phone number. So I was just like, God, I wonder what's up with him and if he's alive, you know, like what's going on. And then Tom said, oh, I heard him and a couple other guys we know are starting this band. And I was like, really? I haven't heard a word about it. But, okay, cool. Well, good. He's alive.
Yeah. It's funny how you brought that forward.
And then all of a sudden I asked Milo last night.
Yeah.
Have you heard from Sean? I haven't seen him in years. And, you know, I was just kind of wondering, curious, concerned, like, is he all right? Is he? And he's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I just heard from him not that long ago. As a matter of fact, he saw your post on Facebook about me joining the band and called me and was like, hey, so you joined Gypsy Brown? And so I don't know, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that energy of thinking about him brought him forward.
Right.
Like accessible to me.
I agree.
Even though I didn't really talk to him.
No, but that happens a lot. And people think about, you know, they're like, oh, I wonder how this person is doing. And then that person will call. Well, you can look at it as a couple different ways that maybe that is your intuition and psychic ability saying this person is coming in to your life again somehow, or you're going to see them or whatever. Or maybe it does put that out there, that it does like manifest bringing that person forward to you. But yeah, it all fits together, all of this.
And not one of the other guys who I know all them as well that are in this band that they're in. It wasn't them that called Milo and said, oh, I heard you joined Gypsy Brown. It was Sean.
Right. Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's weird how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways.
So there's some stories for you.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed them.
We rambled.
Yeah, we have a very busy kind of crazy life and a lot happens. So we do like to share our stories and show you how you can make these things happen and work in your life because we are.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
For sure.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess we should start episode 23 then.
Let's do it.
Spirit guides, here we come.
Spirit guides, yay.
All right.
So, what is a spirit guide?
Okay.
Here is the definition. A spirit guide is an entity that remains as a disincarnate spirit to act as a guide or protector to a living incarnate human being. So I think I should stop there and explain a couple words in this definition. Because there's reincarnate, which we know reincarnate means to come back.
Yep.
Okay. Disincarnate means that you are on the other side.
Yep.
And incarnate means that you're in your body.
You're living.
You're living.
Right.
So basically what this is saying is that another soul on the other side acts as your guide or protector for your soul here.
Precisely.
Exactly.
Another term could be guardian angel,
Yes.
spirit guide. I don't know many others, but
Yeah. Something that I wanted to explain to before we get any more into this is how it works when our loved ones go to the other side. Because some of the things that I'm going to say, or we're going to say and talk about, may make you think, well, my relatives don't like me or don't care for me. Okay. So let's say that when your mom died, you weren't talking to your mom. You guys didn't get along. She still loves you. That's still your mother.
Mhm.
And when she passed, and this isn't my story, I'm just making this up as I go. So let's say she passes and then she sees all of what's happened and what's transpired and has a different perception of things when she has this life replay back.
Mhm.
Okay. So now she sees things on a different level. They don't see it like us. So even our relatives that maybe we didn't talk to for however long, they are very much still players in our lives.
Right.
We made arrangements with them before we incarnated to play these roles.
Right.
So you may have a spouse that you don't particularly like, but they're in your soul family. I mean, like an ex-spouse, but they're in your soul family and you made that arrangement with them.
Right.
So when we talk about that your family is helping you from the other side, it doesn't matter what the relationship was like when they passed.
Yeah.
It's water under the bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
I think when you're going through your life's review, and this is part of the reason for reincarnation, is to learn these lessons.
Right.
That you review when you leave this life, and you go there and you review the life, and then you do whatever for a while, and then probably come back and learn some more lessons. But my point being here is that when you're doing this review, you're not looking at the people and how they wronged you.
Right.
There is none of that. You are looking solely at what you could have done better. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's not coming from a condemnation where God's sitting there like tapping on a desk as you walk in.
Right.
I've been waiting for you.
Yeah, you did a lot of bad.
I think it's time for you to sit down and have your review. It's not like that.
No.
It's not like work, you guys. It's you choose to go sit in that chair and review yourself because you want to.
Right.
Your soul is much purer and loving than the body really understands.
Right.
So you're leaving all that angst and bitterness and judgment
Yes.
and anger here.
Yes.
That doesn't go with you.
No.
You're only looking at it almost from another person's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
In your review, what did you do to other people or for other people?
Right. So even if like you had somebody, a family member or whatever, that maybe did something to you in this life, they will try and make up for it.
Sure.
Because that's how they fix their karma.
Yep.
That's how they can move on. Instead of learning it here, they can try and help us, send us things. So don't discount those. Don't think that you don't have support, because you do.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say that I kind of touched on a little bit, but this episode is a lot based on opinion. We've also, because I say that because my opinion sometimes differs than other psychics. And there's about 1 million websites out there from different psychics or groups or whatever that talk about spirit guides, and they all say different things. So I'm like, research isn't going to help me here. We're going to talk on experience. You've listened to a couple of books. So there's going to be things that you're probably going to read that may say different things, but we all have our opinions and, so first of all, I want to say that in my polls, one of the things that I got was I asked how many of our listeners believe in spirit guides, and 94% said that they do.
Cool.
So that's great. I love that people know that they do have help.
Yeah.
They do. But one of the biggest questions that we got was, who are your spirit guides? Who are they? Who decides who they are, what they do for you? How is this all determined and figured out?
Right.
So when I did my research, I found that one thing that was a consistent is that most of these sites say that there are 7 types of spirit guides. There's our ancestors, There's angels that's all they do. That's their job. They're an angel, soul, or spirit.
Right. That'd just be another soul that you didn't really know.
Exactly.
Or weren't part, you weren't part of your soul family.
Right. And then, like, your famous angels like Gabriel and Michael, they fit in there.
Right.
Nature spirits such as fairies and leprechauns, all those. Ascended masters, those are like the high up. They've been through many, 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 many lives. They've learned a lot. They can help you from the other side.
Right.
Star beings, this was one of our favorites when we read through this. This is help from alien life. This is that you possibly could have been an alien, or you could possibly be one right now. And so you could have an alien spirit guide.
True.
And then there's gods and goddesses. We all know what those are, Roman times.
Right.
All that. And then power animals, which are spirit animals. And we'll get into those towards the end. But those are what they say the 7 different types of spirit guides are.
Right.
So what we're going to focus on are mostly our ancestors and the animal part of it. Because all of this other stuff I don't know much about, but I'd love to do another episode on it sometime when I do.
Right.
Plus it's a lot of info. So those are the types of spirit guides that you may have. Okay. Mm-hmm. How do you know that your spirit guides are around you? That was another question that we got. And this kind of goes back to last week where we talked about the signs and what they send you.
Right.
So, but I think let's go back first.
That's that and one other thing, and that is your openness.
Right.
Because you can't see signs if you're not willing to see them.
Right.
So are they sending to you, even the people that you're saying that may have lost a loved one, that it ended on bad terms?
That's why I was like,
they're sending them to you.
I jumped forward. I want to jump back and go back to who are our spirit guides. My perception of this is that we are born with guides that we determine for ourselves before we are even born. We make a plan before we reincarnate, and we pick our spirit guides. And those people help us from the day that we are born. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to be your spirit guides forever.
Right. Or that they're not always involved or whatever.
I do not feel that I have spirit guides per se that are besides my family.
Right.
But many years ago, like we're talking 2001, 2002, and I talked about her in a previous episode, this lady that did acupressure for me, and she helped me with the spirit guides a little bit at that point. And she said, you can give your spirit guides names. And she told me at that point that most of us, I think, have 2 spirit guides, right? And so we did this like kind of hypnosis type meditation.
Right.
And this is really interesting. The names that I got for my spirit guides, this is 2001, were Anastasia and Christian. Now, if you're a woman, you probably know that those are famous characters from a book, 50 Shades of Grey. But that book did not come out until like 2011.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know if there's a correlation. I don't think so. But it's funny because somebody mentioned that to me when I was talking to them about spirit guides. I'm like, when I originally met my spirit guides, their names were Anastasia and Christian. She's like, well, you realize that those are the characters from 50 Shades of Grey. So anyway, so these 2, So these 2 I really considered to be my spirit guides. And that was who I turned to for a long time for help.
Right.
And then my mom passed. And after that, I really felt like she took over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in what I've read too, in the past life regressions, they discuss that. Because these people are taken not only to past lives, but they're actually taken through the death process and to when they're not incarnated.
Right.
When they're disincarnated.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
That they basically share other information that she kind of asks. A lot of questions. A lot of questions. Which is great. It's like interviewing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. But basically, from what I understand, among a lot of different wild, amazing things that go on that we can't see, that can happen where a particular spirit guide is doing something, working with somebody, and they get called away for something else. But you're never alone. Somebody's always with you, watching over you, guiding you.
Right.
You know, but it can be switched, and it also
Yes.
can be in an understanding and agreement. Again, you're in control of this.
Yes,
okay?
you don't
It's
know
like-
that, but
you
you
don't
are.
know that. Like, you've already decided when you came here, what you came here to do, and how this was all going to play out.
Mm-hmm.
So part of listening to your spirit guides is part of listening to your higher self.
That's very true.
Okay, that is important. You are guiding yourself.
Yes.
But when there's times when you can't really connect that greatly, then they really intervene.
Yes.
If you're willing, again, to see that.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I totally agree
One
with
thing that really quick that popped into my mind, for example, is, I talk Samantha's ear off constantly about music because it's my love and my passion, and I want nothing more than to achieve this, manifest this dream, which I always thought was a dream, and now I'm realizing, well, why can't you just make it happen?
Right.
So we're standing in the garage, and we were talking about it, and she looks up on the shelf and says, "Who's in the box?" And I have my Aunt Sharon's ashes, my mom's twin sister, on the shelf.
Who I
And
thought
I'm
it was, but I couldn't remember.
I'm saving them, for when my mom goes. She asked me to spread them together. And I said, okay. So she is not a very strong presence in my life, I don't think, because I wasn't super duper close with her. But Samantha just said, I got this. What I heard was, it's nice to know that there's other people that are helping.
Yes, she
as
wanted
well.
you to know that you do have people on the other side
Right.
that are helping you, even though you don't feel them. Because I know sometimes that you feel like you don't have your own guides.
Right.
Like my mom does a lot of work, and my
Right.
mom, and even like Marina's grandma, she's around a lot. And then you have your family that doesn't seem to be around as much. But the thing is that these other spirit guides, they're helping in different times. Like you can have, like you were saying, you can have different guides at different times. And I really, truly believe that they switch out so that they can help us with areas that they're better in. For example, my dad helped me buy my car. Okay. That was so helpful. I can't even tell you, to have your dad that knows about cars on the other side help you buy a car. Wild.
Right.
But that was what he was good at, where he doesn't really get involved in a lot of the things that my mom gets involved in. But I still consider him to be one of my guides because
Sure.
he does really, really help me.
Well, it would make sense for Sharon because not only is my mom's twin sister, but she was sort of like my sister and my second mom.
Right.
She had a life partner that they were together forever, and her partner was like the one that would let us run rampant, eat sugar, run out in the rain.
Right.
And my Aunt Sharon was more like the mom, like, no,
Right.
no. So it would make sense that from there, she's helping guide me almost as a motherly
Right.
type of figure because my mom is still alive.
Right. Well, and a couple of things to remember too on this subject, because your parents are both still alive. Your grandparents are over there, but let's think about that. Maybe some of them have already reincarnated, and then
It's
they're
very
not there to
possible.
be your guide. So that's another thing, is that if you feel like there's somebody maybe that should be your guide, but they're not, it might just be because they reincarnated already.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, they could be working on themselves on the other side.
Yeah.
Like there's reasons why souls become guides and others don't. Not all are guides.
Because everybody's working and nobody's
Yes.
forced to go really any higher than they really want to go. There is this natural desire to want to progress and excel as a soul and become, as pure as you possibly can be.
Yeah.
What kind of like what you were saying earlier is my understanding is that, and I've read this and then also gotten this from your mom, when we did channeling with her through you, where I sort of was questioning things I was reading
Yes.
to her. And it was true. She was like, yeah, essentially when you're born, you're assigned two guides, and they typically do it a male and a female because they want you to be a well-balanced soul.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
It does. So
Yeah.
if you're a man, you still have to have some sort of, love and compassion, which women carry much stronger than men.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a female, You need to have some sort of toughness about standing up for yourself.
Yes.
And, not being walked on,
Yeah.
which comes from more of a male persona,
Yes.
Even though there is no really gender in souls, you are sort of the type of person you are.
Right.
But yeah, so that is my interpretation, that we each have at least those two.
Yes.
If it's out of balance, for whatever reason, a shortage of being able to match a female and a male to a body, to guide that person. I heard that's where it gets weird. You get into people's that are kind of off kilter and
right.
maybe
you're
different
little,
in society's eyes kind of thing. But
that's interesting.
So, and the other thing to tap in on that is I totally agree, because I can see how Rob has completely sort of stepped in when it comes to the musical part of my life, and he's gone like Topher. I know my male guide's name. I haven't figured out, and I was given that. I got lucky, but I've never really tried to figure out the female's name.
Yeah.
Christopher, but he goes by Topher.
Topher, yeah.
And so, but I can totally see Rob in my mind, sort of like Chris or whatever, and the young lady, excuse me.
Yeah.
We don't know your name yet. Step aside. I got this one.
Yeah. I believe that they do that, they a lot of times let your spirit guides that you were assigned to you or that you picked before you were born, let them do their job. And then like Rob, he comes in and he does what he needs to do. In my case with my mom, I truly believe that Anastasia and Christian were released from their duties and are now taking care of somebody else because I don't feel them. I did, like, before she died. But since she died, her presence just gets stronger and stronger. So I believe she replaced them. But then I have my grandma. I have so much support over there that I don't even really think about it much.
I think it all depends on each situation.
Exactly.
Your mother had unfinished business left here, and this was a way for her to grow.
Yes.
And
Chaos
she
karma.
might even have presented it, to her guides or her masters is, would you let me step in and make it right for what I did?
Right.
And how I left early and, all that.
I believe it. I definitely believe that this is the reason why she's my guide, because a lot of parents, they would probably just be like, wow, this place is great.
Right.
I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
And essentially she's sacrificing moving up.
She is. She's very much sacrificing.
She's staying at this edge. She can't go any further until you and your brother go.
Because this is her job. And
then she can go whatever.
Right.
Up higher or reincarnate or whatever.
I hope we're not confusing people. But, I mean, the gist of it is that anybody can be your spirit guide.
Right.
You probably arranged it before you came here. And they're always there for you.
That part I don't know. I don't know. Do you really know them, or is it just somebody that's assigned to you? But maybe you do.
I think you do.
Sure.
My opinion of, like, from what I've read and from what I feel, I kind of feel like you have to assign them to yourself because they have to guide you. I don't know. These are things that obviously can't be scientifically proven. No. We have to go by the messages that we get and the things that we read. And with these messages, they don't just tell us, like, I kind of have to sit here and decipher them. And sometimes they're hard to decipher. So I really don't know, to be quite honest.
And sometimes, honestly, it's just you get to that spot where you know and you don't know how you know. Yes. You just know.
That's how it is with my mom. I just know that she's in charge. And not just me. She's in charge of my brother, too. So I don't know how that works, but
that's like one of the missing senses, outside of your third eye and your psychic ability is that, or maybe that is that extra sense we talked about before, but interesting. Blowing my own mind there.
So going back to now how to know that they are around, and we talked about all those signs last week, but a lot of people don't see those signs yet. And so they're like, maybe I don't have a spirit guide. Like, one of the questions that we got was, where are my spirit guides? Like, where are mine? Why are they absent? Okay. So Everybody has them. They're not
Mhm.
absent. But the thing about it is you have to believe, like, they're not going to
Yeah.
work extra special hard to communicate with you if you're not willing to communicate with them.
Right.
You have to start somewhere. And this is where it comes back to patience, is that everybody wants it right now. If I can't talk to my spirit guides right now, then they don't exist. That's not how it works. You have to learn how. You have to build. And by learning the signs that they're sending you, you do learn to communicate with them. Something else that I got asked was, as far as, can they read your mind? Okay, so do they always know what you're thinking? And that's a really good question, because that used to freak me out a lot too.
Right.
And I have come to learn that they do not read your mind.
No.
They do not know your every thought.
No.
But when you talk to them, or when there's something going on that maybe you're like fighting in your head, they hear those things.
Yeah.
And so they can definitely hear you when you're talking to them. So don't ever be afraid to talk to them, whether it's out loud or in your head,
Right.
because that gives them the kind of like little knock of, okay, you do see that maybe I'm here helping you.
Yeah, they're waiting for an invitation that it's
Right.
okay. Because if they were to start throwing really ridiculous signs to get your attention, like rocks flying through windows or something, you know,
Oh, God, no.
stupid,
Yeah.
you would get scared.
Yes.
And you've got to start thinking on it that the universe isn't as, yes, it's complex because our minds are so small, but it's not that complex,
Right.
in the sense of, look at our situation and our world and the type of dimension we live in. And if there was another way for a spirit guide to communicate with us, if you were on the other side trying to do it, what types of resources and mediums would you use
Right.
to influence, to communicate to knucklehead over here that's not getting the message?
Right.
You know, what would you do?
If you're waiting for your spirit guide to appear to you in physical form and say, hi, I'm such and such, that's not going to happen. It doesn't work like that. And I think that for a lot of people, that's what they need to believe in something.
Right.
But the thing about spirit guides and this whole metaphysical spiritual world, the biggest word is belief. It
Yep.
is. And once you believe, miracles do happen. Okay, they do, but you have to believe. So if you're sitting here going, where are my spirit guides? My life sucks. They're not going to come help you.
Well, in where somebody might say, well, where's the moment that I start believing? I'm going to rewind to about 35 minutes ago. When you start thinking coincidence, that's the first knock on your head. They're going, hey, dummy, it's not a
No
coincidence.
coincidence.
It's not. We're doing this for a reason.
Right.
So look a little closer and then say, okay, even if you're saying it out loud or to yourself, inside yourself to them, okay, well, if that's not a coincidence, then show me something else.
Yes.
And the more you invite, so what you're doing is you're essentially starting to believe,
Yes.
and you're asking, which isn't wrong, I need sign.
Yeah.
And the more that you believe, the little bit more you'll get.
Yes.
And the more and the more and the more and the more.
And you'll build up just like building
Right.
a muscle.
It really is like a muscle. And you can not work it out. And I go through periods, I'll admit, where I'm just like, I don't want to work that muscle today.
I know. We all have those days.
But
But
then there's days where I'm just so blown away, like how I can't wake up every day, every second of every day, and not see through the veil.
right.
You know?
Right. And I'm assuming that for our spirit guides, it has to be frustrating for people that
Yeah.
don't see, because like with this comment with the where are mine, one of the things I started thinking about is that a lot of people believe that if bad things happen to you, or, you know, whatever, something doesn't go right in your life, that you don't have somebody looking out for you. And that's not the case, because there's two things you have to remember, is that bad things happen to everybody, and there's free will.
Mhm.
And if you're using your free will and not letting your spirit guides do their job to guide you, they can't fight you on it. They
Right.
cannot physically make you do something.
It kind of brings me to a question for you, and I'll just get
Yeah.
your opinion. It's kind of an impromptu question
Sure,
here.
I like those.
So, if we are essentially all souls, we are all spirits, we are all angels. Some of us are newer souls, some of us are older souls, okay? But none is never alone, at least when you're incarnated.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we are a higher energy, why do we need a spirit guide?
That's a good question.
You know?
Right. Well, okay.
Do you have, because even the ones that have been here maybe 500 times, they still have a guide.
Right.
And my personal opinion would be, go ahead and you answer it, but I would just say it's for the greater knowledge, gaining greater knowledge. But
right. Well, so what you're saying is why do we all have spirit guides?
Yeah, because you essentially have a higher consciousness, which means you can, if you really can tap into this, you really could connect to your, how do I say this? Your like original contract of like why you came here, and your higher self could sort of guide you.
Right. Right. I get what you're saying. And you know what? I think that there are people that their higher self may guide them more than their spirit guides. But I don't think for the average person that is easy to do. Because when I started noticing guides, and then when my mom died and I really, really started noticing it, that is not something that I would have even considered to be like my higher self. I think you need to almost be more evolved, if that makes sense. So I think we all need spirit guides because of the human in us.
Right.
Because we're not thinking like we do on the other side. We're thinking like a human. And most people don't even think about these things that we're talking about.
And if you have been here before, as you come out of the womb and with every day that passes, you're forgetting that past life.
Yes.
So it's necessary to have those guides guide you.
Yes.
To remind you where you came from. And that's where the signs come in. It's like, don't forget.
Right.
Don't forget where you, and we all forget, most of us forget those lives. Okay.
Yes.
But they're there to say, no.
Right.
Don't forget.
Right. You know, it was something that, like, looking back on my life and seeing when I started believing in and understanding spirit guides, and then after my mom died, my life, I have been able to steer it in the direction that I wanted to go because of my spirit guides, because of the signs that they've given me, whether it's been my mom or my other spirit guides, whoever it may be. If it would have been for me using my free will and not listening, I don't know where I would be right now. So you have that ability to take things any way that you want. And your spirit guides are here to help you. And they're here, in essence, to protect you as well. But they're not a shield, and they're not going to step in on free will. So you still have the ability to do whatever you want. Right. That's where you have to learn to listen to your spirit guides. And I'm telling you, once you start to listen to them, and then you can start to hear your own, like what we're talking about, your higher self, your own inner voice, because we do have a piece of us that stays on the other side. We're not completely whole until we go back.
Right.
So there is our higher self is there helping us, guiding us. But I do believe it's easier to listen to the other spirit guides.
Absolutely. And that would maybe be, again, a simple analogy is the angel, the devil on your shoulder, hearing those two voices, knowing right from wrong.
Right.
And it simply is like, flipping that guy off or honking at him when it really wasn't necessary.
Right.
Okay. All the way to walking into somewhere with a gun and shooting innocent people.
Right.
These people know right from wrong.
Right.
Everybody is instilled with that inside. Intuitively, instinctively, we all know that.
Right. Absolutely.
So tuning into that and really listening to that is essential.
Yes, absolutely. For this, it really is. So if you're asking, where are your spirit guides? They're there. You just have to listen and believe.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of the other questions we got was, how do I communicate with my spirit guides? Which we talked a little bit about, but other things that you can do. Let me explain something, and I might become unpopular for saying this, but when you go to church and you pray, you're praying to whatever you believe. It doesn't matter what you believe. You're still praying to the same source.
You're putting out that same positive energy and respect.
Right. So talking to your spirit guides is also a form of prayer.
Or meditation, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that was my next thing. But if you're, if you're praying at night, if you're saying, Lord, please, whatever it is, your spirit guides are hearing that. Is God hearing that? I don't know. Probably, because he's the source. He controls everything. But the spirit guides and the angels and all of these,
they work for him.
They work for him. These are his messengers. So for me, I feel that this is their job. And that's who I go to. So for me, my prayer, it goes to my spirit guides and my loved ones and whoever else. So when you're praying, you are talking to them in essence. Another way, like you were saying, is meditation. If you go on YouTube, you can find some really great guided meditations for communicating with your spirit guides. But I'll tell you, it doesn't need to be that complicated.
No.
But if you need those types of things to help you, that's a great tool to help you learn how to shut your own mind off, shut your own belief system off for a while and let your spirit guides do their work. Yep. So I would highly encourage you, if you're interested in learning about your spirit guides, to go on YouTube and look for some of those guided meditations.
And don't, they will communicate with you. You can't expect to hear some audible voice, on a megaphone or whatever you're imagining. Try this. Sit quietly and focus on this. Start with, if you're not feeling like they're communicating with you, keep inviting them. Please, please show me, talk to me. And as you sit there each time, and it's going to take a couple times, quietly sit there and afterwards kind of evaluate some of the first thoughts that pop into your mind. They're going to sound like you because it's of a higher consciousness.
Right.
Okay. So it sounds like you.
Yes.
But pay close attention to what's being said. And the connotation, like, is it I or you?
Yes. That's a great point.
Things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And write them down, and then maybe you'll start to see a pattern. But you just have to be open to seeing those things and to be able to communicate with them. You have to. It all comes down to believing and being open. So anyways, those guided meditations, I think that those are great.
Yeah.
Let's see what other questions. Well, let's talk about, for a little bit, because I think we have a few minutes left, about animals, because there's a couple of different ways that animals affect us in this spirit guide topic. And one of the ways is spirit animals. And we hear this term used a lot.
Yeah.
Like people say, oh, that's sloth. That's my spirit animal because I'm lazy. So, and in essence, that is a kind of what a spirit animal is. A spirit animal has its own, animals have their own qualities. Okay. So for me, I believe that dolphins are my spirit animal because I feel a very strong connection to them. I grew up with constantly there being dolphins around me. I was drawn to them. They're very human-like. I feel like I have a lot of similar qualities. That's my spirit animal.
Sure.
So I don't really know like what you do with that information, but you can, you can take different spirit animals and use what they have to grow your own life. But that's in essence what a spirit animal is.
Could you put into words what it does for you? Probably not. I think if you sat and just took a meditation, like on, just say, I'm going to pick my spirit animal and I'm going to sit here for 5 or 10 minutes with my eyes shut. And I'm just going to think about my breathing and that animal. Mm-hmm. Just think about it.
Right.
And you may walk away going, I don't know what I did, but you might notice a difference.
Yeah. And a lot of us just have a draw, like me with the dolphins. We have a draw to a certain animal. Now, as I get older, and especially going through this, I'm really drawn to elephants and giraffes. Really, really drawn to them.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, well, maybe those are spirit animals for me now, because I do feel such a strong connection to them. And they can be guides too. How that works, I'm not really sure. But, we don't know how everything works on the other side.
No.
But something else is animals, your animals as your spirit guides. Is this something that can actually be? And yes, it can, but maybe not in the way that people think. Like we were talking about this earlier today about how animals are used a lot as vessels for spirits.
Right.
So you may see, like we talked about this with Sabbath, our dog, our black lab. He acts a lot like our other dog, Sequoia. And the way that I look at it is like Sequoia is commandeering his body to show me that she's around. Right. So she is, in essence, here. Is she guiding me? I don't know that she's necessarily guiding me. I feel her presence a lot. And I feel like if we can have animals as spirit guides, that she is one of mine. But then again, she will reincarnate. And a lot quicker than humans do. Right. So she won't be sticking around long if she's my spirit guide animal type thing. You know what I mean? Like she's going to move on. So they don't stick with us a long time, I don't feel. And how they guide us, if they do, I really feel like it's maybe just a comfort thing. Mm-hmm. They just try and do the same things that they did when they were here. Comfort and love and compassion. And
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But animals, they are very strong in the spirit guide kind of world, I mean, we could really do a whole episode on the spirit animals and totems and all that, but honestly, I don't know enough about it, and I'd like to learn more, but sometime we may,
They're here for an important reason.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to hunt, kill, and eat.
No, definitely not. We all have our own purpose, and, so, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
we did it again.
Yeah. Folks.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, what are we going to talk? It's another one of those where I'm like, what do we really?
Yeah, like I said, this
because
one I was still
about. Your process, you're learning more about who's guiding you, how many guide you, when they guide you. I feel like certain step in at other times and some back off at other times.
Well, and the thing about our show here is that even though we are here to spread awareness and maybe teach, the name of our show is Philoso-Chatter.
Exactly.
We're here to talk about these topics, not to present as experts or that this is knowledge that we know 100%, but we want to kind of let you in on what we have learned to help you and to help us continue to learn. Like I listened back to episode 2 recently, which was the other side episode. Yeah. And I've learned so much between then and now that I'm like, oh, I want to go do another one because we will continue to learn. And I feel like we will always have stuff for our show because we continue to learn, because we continue to have more topics to talk about as we get deeper and deeper into this.
Your soul is an infinite energy. It will never die.
Yes.
And your sole purpose, no pun intended, is to learn.
Yeah.
And that's why you not only learn in these lives, you're going to learn when you're there, and you're going to come back and learn some more, and you're going to go back there, and you're going to learn some more.
Yep.
You've got to do something to fulfill the time that you have, which is eternity.
Yeah.
And it's all about learning, and there's no way that any of us, without these spirit guides, could learn all of this stuff in a million lifetimes.
No.
Because we can't learn it in one, even with spirit guides, and we're probably not going to learn it in 2.
No.
They're there to help our process, to slap us across the face now and then.
And they do.
Not mean. It's not, I don't mean that like a mean way. It's very loving. Mm-hmm. It's always loving. And it's there constantly. Sometimes it just overwhelms me. Like it feels like a warm blanket, and I just well up in tears, and I feel them everywhere.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm just, you want to be cranky and you think they're not around. No, you're not around. That's
exactly right. I honestly, one of the things that, not to plug my blog early, but I will do that. One of the things that I am looking forward most to with my blog is just like what you were saying. It's like as we grow and as we learn and as we bring new things in, that people will see this, you know, and they'll be able to learn and grow with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm willing to be that.
Yeah, because you never stop.
Yeah.
You never stop.
And there's a lot of people like us that are doing this,
yes.
you know, and that are out there, whether they have a podcast or not, that's up to them. But there are a lot of people that believe like this. And
this way of thinking has changed our lives.
Oh, yeah.
It has completely changed who I am as a person, the way that I think, the way I look at life, the things that I want.
Yeah, me too.
I wish that more people would give it a chance, because it doesn't happen overnight. The spiritual awakening, which I'd like to do another episode on that eventually, that was one of the hardest things that I've been through, because it was examining myself and having to come to terms with my own problems and my own bad habits and mistakes. But once you get through it, and once you start to see that, wow, there is so much more out there, and I'm just living for the wrong things, life changes. And I'm not saying that every day is fantastic.
No.
But when you have a bad day, you know that tomorrow's a brand new one, and that your spirit guides are there the next day, and that they'll help you get back on track.
Absolutely. If your heart is in the right place, take it easy on yourself. You're doing the best you can.
True that.
And again, your heart's in the right place. They're going to show you. They're going to guide you.
Yep.
And strangely enough, everything is provided for me.
Yes.
And how, I don't understand. Sometimes
either.
I want to go, it's not enough, I want to go to Hawaii. Okay.
Right.
But
we will.
mark my words, we will.
Yeah.
And
not tomorrow,
no,
but we will. And that's not, again, it comes down to everything isn't going to happen at once.
nothing, you learn nothing if you've handed everything like that. We're taught that as little children.
That's exactly
and
it.
there's a reason why we're taught that. We're not just bodies that think we're smart people. We are souls that have done this a few times.
Yep.
So we're here to teach each other that, even as mortals. It's like, hey, you want something that bad? You better work hard for it.
Right.
And that's where I'm in the game right now. I get tired sometimes, I'm not going to lie.
We both do.
But I'm in the game to we make
both
this
are.
happen and work hard.
And that with our guides, it really does help. It really, because they slap me upside the head sometimes. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Last night I was sitting around kind of like, and then I felt that, you know, what are you doing? You don't even know. Like, seriously.
Yeah, it was like this morning,
together.
it was like your prayer was answered.
Yeah.
You know, by my text message.
Right. We did get some good news this morning. But and we have really been working at manifesting things in our lives. And they have been working. And so, again, coming back to the podcast and the blog, these are things that we want to show you to prove to you that what we're telling you is not BS.
Right.
These guides exist. All of these things exist. The signs, everything else, you just have to believe, and you have to open yourself up.
Yep.
And it's a magical world.
Anybody can be a part of the club. You just, belief is the code to get in.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's about it.
That's it.
We are out of time. Did you like to say anything about your pages before we say adios?
Let's do it. Right. So, because I have 1,000,001 social media pages, I'm just going to tell you that you can find everything you possibly need on my website at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com.
That's
good. The blog, the podcast, all the links you need, they're on my website. You can even set up an appointment. Then I don't have to sit here and ramble off 20 different names.
Yeah, that's sweet. I thought we were going to be done in about 4 minutes.
There's way too much going on, and I think I'm going to put another link page just on my website for that, and on yours for the links. Yeah.
Cool. Good.
Yeah.
And I also have a page. I do art. You can find me at djonesartcollection.com. Check it out. Hit me up. Leave me a message. Whatever. Working on the store that's coming up pretty quick.
Yes.
Kind of the good news that we got was important for that to happen. So everything will be available, prints up there for purchase pretty soon.
We will let you know as soon as they are ready.
And you can find my art also on Facebook at D Jones Art Collection, and same thing with Instagram and music, gypsybrown.com, or Facebook and Gypsy Brown at Gypsy Brown Music for Instagram.
Hey.
So just had rehearsal last night. everybody's, I love hearing people that Tom. I said something to Brian really quickly a while ago. I said, and this came out of nowhere. It was like they were talking through me. Mm-hmm. I said, when you start hearing the others talking the way that you and I talk about this, then we're getting close.
Right.
And so Tom last night was like kind of calling himself out and saying how he was, that with the introduction of Milo, he wanted to play better,
It does when you have more positive people around you.
Oh, yeah.
And it helps to raise the vibrations.
Oh, the vibrations were wonderful last night.
Good.
So anyways, but yeah, that's about it.
Yep.
Well, we appreciate everybody listening to us for another episode of Philoso-Chatter.
Yes.
With the Joneses, Spiritual Philoso-Chatter with the Joneses, sorry. And we hope that you tune in next week with us.
Yes, another great episode coming soon.
And until then, you guys have a great week. And peace and love.